Narayan Singh, KC Fund, other dignitaries on the dais, Gurinder Singh and Deepak Singh, ladies and gentlemen. I can assure you that I will not speak long because a lot of things have already been said and no point in repeating some of them. I simply say that today Indians are a global community. I don't think there is any other community which is quite present all over the globe with such strength and such prominence. So therefore, it is not, your coming to India is homecoming. It is an occasion for the mother country accepting you with open arms, and you're accepting the mother country with open arms. Luckily, things have changed enormously in the last few years. Starting with the changes envisaged by Rajiv Gandhi, brought about by Sri Narasimha Rao, Dr. Manmohan Singh, and Pranab Mukherjee. Policy environment today is very, very conducive to non-resident Indians coming in and investing and taking part in the economic activities of this country. First of all, it is a country of endless opportunity. People often ask me where to invest. I said anywhere you like, because this country today has enormous purchasing power. And as you can see, when the president of the General Motors announces that the company is filing for bankruptcy, in the same speech, he mentioned that we are looking at the Indian market for relief and rescue. Such is the strength of the Indian market. Nearly all major automobile majors have now come and thought it desirable to shift location factories in India. And tremendous purchasing power has developed in the last years, especially among the rural people. It was not so earlier. But last few years, the rural India has seen the growth of enormous purchasing power, which is the biggest strength of the economy, which is why India is today perhaps the second largest growing economy in the world. It could be the first largest country, but we have to maintain a democratic structure. China doesn't have to maintain a democratic structure. Please realize that. China doesn't have to maintain a democratic structure or free state or free opinion. Even now, you cannot remit funds freely from China. There are all kinds of problems. India allows investors to remit funds without any difficulty whatsoever. In the year 2007 or 8, when the Wall Street global crisis started, within the first week, the foreign institutional funds were operating in the Indian capital market. They sold their shares because they had to shore up their funds of the companies back home, and $52 billion were repatriated within the first 7 or 10 days time. Indian economy did not suffer anything at all, unlike in the past. So therefore, recently also, when some trouble started elsewhere in the USA or a lot of repatriation took place, but then it did not have any effect on the Indian market. And the other strength is that apart from the purchasing power of the country, especially the rural people, India's capital market is also very, very strong. You can invest in any product, you can invest in any services, and you can get a part of your requirement by selling shares, by floating shares to the Indian public, and the Indian public will lap it up as a swell. India's other biggest strength is India's public sector. There is no, let there be no contradiction between the public sector and the private sector. India's public sector is also today running on the basis of profit, and Indian public sector managers can draw salaries higher than even the salaries in the government, provided that comes from their profit pay. So this culture has changed the entire picture, and today any number of companies are returning to profitability, and Indian public sector as a whole is on a kind of turnaround spree. Then, in fact, when the global crisis came, Wall Street crisis, I once described India's public sector as India's white knights in shining armor. They did not retrench anybody, in fact recruited more people, They did not cut down on production as most companies in USA and Europe did, but they in fact increased their production capacity. And public sector indeed had a kind of biggest motor turnaround. And so can come anywhere you like, on by yourself or in alliance with Indian partners or in alliance with any other foreign partners also. Policy-wise, today it's a very, very free economy. Taxation in India today is one of the least taxed countries in the world. Much less than, well, highest tax perhaps is not more than 30% or 35% in the case of the corporate sector, which is much less than the prevailing rate of taxation anywhere in Europe or North America. So that is also another, there is no restriction on dividend remittance, there is no restriction on even repatriation of profit or even disinvestment. If you want to disinvest, you can sell the share. As many cases, foreign companies have sold their shares and gone. So therefore, and then you have the advantage of the Indian economy growing. We need a lot in infrastructure. Infrastructure, because some or other in our early phase of our policy planning, we ignored the infrastructure. Let me say so with brutal frankness today. You did not give much attention to infrastructure, but today government is giving utmost priority to the development of the infrastructure. And all this talks about China can grow things very quickly, build up things very quickly. India cannot. Yes, it is true. We have a problem of speed. We are not as strong as China in the matter of project development. But then China doesn't have to bother about the parliament and the media and all that kind of thing. We have to, and we are proud of it. But take the case of the Delhi Metro, which took barely 1.5 years or 2 years maybe to build the entire structure. So therefore, where there is political will and there is good management, forward-looking management, in India also, projects can be developed within a very short time. And there it is up to you, ladies and gentlemen, to think of the project, any project, any service, infrastructure. Education can be a very big field. Would today about 220 million boys and girls, they go to Indian schools. Out of them, only about 20 million go to the colleges. And on the one hand, government has declared education as a fundamental right for children up to the age of 14. So therefore, there is tremendous scope for expansion of school. But in college, if you choose to come in to invest in colleges education, look at the tremendous opportunity. And that has happened. India's education is still excellent, but tremendous opportunity to grow in education, and number of Indian business houses are now turning to education. People who failed, private business houses who failed in their original products and all that, have turned into education, especially management education. You see every day that is happening. So education is one field where NRIs can come, and NRIs or those who are holders of IPO. And then point is, India will welcome them with a lot of opportunity and with a lot of welcome. And then today, even if you do not want to come, you can help India by having Indian exports, Indian goods, and your relationship with Indian companies and taking Indian goods abroad. That's also tremendous possibility. Today's government policy has practically abolished all restriction. Indian companies no longer need to buy products from India only as raw materials. They can go anywhere in the world to buy their raw materials or their immediate components. Similarly, for exporting also, they are not required to sell their products only in India. They can go anywhere they like, and the entire process and system has been very much, made easier. So therefore, there is, just as you, ladies and gentlemen, are occupying very important positions even in the respective countries where you are. But similarly, there is no harm in trying to, play a role in India's economic development or even political development. Recently, the Prime Minister announced somewhere that the India government is considering giving voting rights on a limited scale to sections of non-resident.
Parliament has passed the legislation. Other things are being worked out. In the month of August last year, Parliament has amended people's representation.
No.
For giving them an opportunity to vote.
That's very good. Anyway, so therefore, the opportunities are endless, and then don't be diffident. You have come, visit the country, You are going on a golden circle, see, golden triangle. I remember when I was in charge of tourism in Government of India 2 decades ago, I had something to do with for solving to evolving some of the projects or the trains and all that, making it easier for the tourists and NRIs to come and enjoy this country. So therefore, wish you all the very best, each one of you, professionally and personally, and hope to see some of you again in some point of time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. That was Dr. Nitish Sengupta kindly addressing us. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a very distinguished gentleman, the only gentleman who is a non-resident Indian, a very dynamic senior international president of the NRI Welfare Society based in the United Kingdom, none other than Mr. Gohar Nawab. He's chairman of the Euro Group of Hotels in the United Kingdom, having a change of budget hotels in London. He has a dispensary in Lucknow, which is working for the underprivileged, and plans to open a hospital there very soon. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the very dynamic Mr. Gohar Nawab to kindly address the distinguished audience.
Honorable guest, ladies and gentlemen, I would like you to know about myself. I am from Lucknow and I went to UK in 1961. And I would like you to know how I am here. I met Sardar Harjit Singh in Dubai and he invited me here. I was not very happy because of the circumstances, the war between India and China. I could not do what I went for. I went there to be a barrister, but my grant was stopped. I could not get any money. My parents asked me to come back, but I was determined not to come back. And it is important for all of you to know about NRI, what NRIs are, what they do, and how they live. It's very important because India is my home, it's my country. I was born in India, my father was in India, my grandfather was in India. Surely you have right to know about all the NRI, how their lives are abroad. So I started my first job as a cleaner, then I became a baker, but my mission was to complete my education. I completed my education and then I went to an export company, I became a shipping administrator. My background was business, I was not happy. Before I start my own business, I went around the world. I went to USA, Russia, China, you name any country. Because I had to decide where should I settle. And I decided to settle in Britain, which is a country where you have seen they ruled our country. And after ruling the country, I can simply say to all of you, the British society is a society of hardly 10% people who are very talented, very educated. 90% are just working class. And the country has ruled the world only because the 10%. And I want you to know, all of you, everybody has mentioned about everyone, but my favorite leader was Pandit Nehru. Pandit Nehru came to Lucknow University, where I was educated in 1960. And he was with a group of foreigners and he was going to give a speech in English. And he started, and all of a sudden he said, "Can you believe I'm gone mad? This is Lucknow, where the Urdu language was born. I have to speak in Urdu." उसके बाद उन्होंने कहा कि मैं किस ज़बान से माफ़ी मांगूँ आपसे कि मैं लखनऊ आकर के अंग्रेज़ी में स्पीच देता हूँ. उनका ख़ास मकसद यूनिवर्सिटी में आने का था कि what is the meaning of freedom and what we expect from you. And he gave the message to all of us that the time has come for us to work hard and we have to live in the society and we have to live in the world and we have to succeed and we have to work. And if you remember, Pandit Nehru went to Yeno and he gave a speech there that you people are talking about other countries. My country is a country where a lot of gods were born. and he gave the example of Rama, Krishna, and Mahatma Buddha. So our country has a tradition, our country has a culture, our country has a civilization. Coming back on the life of our people who live abroad, it's not bed of roses, it's very hard life. You have to come out if you have penniless, if you have done nothing, and the income of anybody in any country is very, very average. But it's not that much that you could do something. But the thing is, willpower is very, very important. And determination is very, very important. The Indians living abroad and who are in business, they have to work, believe me, 15 hours to 12 hours a day and 7 days a week. And it is in your own hand to succeed and grow. I have a chain of 11 hotels, I have about 200 properties, I have something like 400 or 500 people working for me. And I'm buying hotels, and I employ mostly Indians in my hotel just for the training as a hotelier. If anybody wants to come to London, I will give them a job. I train them, send them to college. When they qualify, I make them managers. So here is the situation of Dr. Harbhajan Singh, a man who came and saw me. We did not know him, he did not know me, but he had the ability to understand a person. He came to know who I am, and he asked me to come to India. I didn't come to India for last maybe over 25 years, and when I came here, I simply decided that I would do something for the poor people. I am a Nawab, my father was a Nawab, but Nawab means Karo padhoge likhoge hoge kharab, kheloge kudoge hoge Nawab. This was the saying of Nawabs. But the education is something where my parents gave me the education. And I can only say here to all of you, if you give your children the best education, the education will bring them up. When Churchill lost the the election, the Conservative Party, he gave a private speech in Surrey, and he told them that the time is near, that there would be no name of us in the world. If you want to survive, there's only one thing: give the best education to your children. And if they are best in education, then we will come back again. And that's what is happening now. You will find that in England, mostly people who go for education, they are the people who are supported by their parents. The poor people who have no money, they just hardly do O-level or A-level. So this is something we have given the best education to our children, because it is our tradition, it is our culture, it is our religion to tell the children this is the only one wealth which nobody can steal from you. So it is something which you will find all the Indians who are there, whether they are from Punjab or they are from Bihar or they are from UP, all the parents give them very, very good education. And if you see, they are on very high positions in London especially. And if you go around the world, you will find the same. So my message to all of you is not only what India has done and what India is doing, but please think about NRIs. How can we come back to our country here? How can we help to India? Because India is something where it is our country. There's nothing which we don't want. We live only abroad because we could not succeed over here. We could not achieve over here. We could not go any further. But now is the time for all of us to come back here and do some help to our culture, to our people. The other thing is about Indians, that they have a very, very close relationship with their culture and with their relations, which is very, very good. You will find every Indian who is abroad, he is supporting either to his mother family or to his father family or to his wife family. It is in our religion, it is in our culture, which is giving you the feeling that a lot of Indians and Asians going abroad. Why? They are calling. I'll give you an example. There's a family in USA from Bihar. He's a doctor. His understanding is that if anybody wants to come to USA for a medical education, his condition is that he has to bring 2 doctors. So now there are more than 100 doctors who have come with this agreement. The same thing is we could do in different fields. Like I'm a hotelier, I will love to help and guide the people who want to do any investment in UK, in hotel industry. It is one of the best industry, you never lose anything. You always grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I give you an example. In Arabia, there was an old man is putting a plant, and it was a khajur, which is a date plant. And some people came on the horse and they were laughing at him. Saying, "You are an old man, your age is more than 90. What are you doing? Why are you putting these plants?" The answer was, somebody put the plants for me, where I am getting the dates and I am putting the dates for the other people to come. Same thing is for us, that we should help the people who need the help, and it is the government policy, it should be the government policy, wherever there is any need. I welcome to anyone who wants to come to UK for higher education in hotel industry. I have all kind of assistance. I will provide them education, job, and whatever they want. So it is something I would like every NRI who is here, he must do something for our people from India. Well, thank you very much to give me chance, opportunity to speak. Thank you. Thank you.
What a wonderful address made straight from the heart. That was the very Honourable Mr. Gohar Nawab, the very nice young gentleman who started from Lucknow, and he remains evergreen till today. Thank you very much, sir, for your most wonderful address. Ladies and gentlemen, our next very distinguished gentleman seated on the top table is none other than Major Ved Prakash. He is a wonderful orator. Most of all, he's a wonderful human being. Secretary of the AICC, we present him to you. Major Ved Prakash.
Honorable Shri Sushil Kumar Shinde ji, Union Minister, Honorable Dr. Bhish Narayan Singh ji, former Union Minister and Governor, Honorable G.V.G. Krishnamurthy ji, Honorable Nitish Sen Gupta ji, my dear friend Mr. Gohar Nawab, whom you just heard, it was so inspiring, it was really very good. And Ansari ji, Alka Lamba ji, Secretary General Sardar Gurinder Singh ji, Mrs. Harbhajan Singh ji, Sardar Deepak Singh ji, and Honorable NRI delegates. I am so happy to be meeting you, some of them almost every year. There are some new faces also this time. So I welcome you all and wish you all a very, very happy New Year and a very good stay in India. Recently, this month itself, I attended the Pravasi Bharatiya Divas organized by our own Pravasi Bharatiya Ministry. And there, I happened to hear some of the distinguished speakers, NRI, they had so much of emotional attachment to the country and so much of desire to do something for this country. They were very keen to know what exactly they can do for the progress and development of this country. I was so happy. I was really touched, I must say. And I can tell you, because I have very little time to speak, there are other distinguished speakers here. I can tell you this much, that our country is progressing very well. In the infrastructure development, we have picked up a very fast pace, whether it is power sector, where our distinguished chief guest, Sri Sushil Kumar Shinde ji, is the chief guest, and he is the power minister. Whether it is the road communication, whether it's in IT, railway, air transport, you name anything, IT, educational sector, hospitals, medical facilities, everywhere, so much of infrastructure development is taking place. There is no state where I have not toured as an office bearer of All India Congress Committee, and I find that tremendous progress is taking place. As NRI, I saw in the last, this Pravasi Bharati Divas, they were really very keen to know where all they can invest. We have this NRI Welfare Society where Secretary General Sardar Gurinder Singh and also Sardar Deepak Singh, they'll be able to assess you and tell you which are the avenues open for you to invest. Our friend Gohar Nawab has very rightly brought out that there is tremendous opportunity for us to work on for our country. So I won't take much of your time. I expect you that you will be possibly get acquainted with what all you can do for the country, and you will be able to enjoy your stay over here. Thank you very much.
National Students' Union of India and was later elected president to Delhi University. Later, she was appointed as the president of the All India NSUI. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give her a warm round of applause, Miss Alka Lamba.
मैं अपनी बात को रखने से पहले सबसे पहले माफ़ी चाहूँगी, अभी जो मेरे पास SMS आया कि हमारे भारत रत्न आदरणीय भीमसेन जोशी जी हमारे बीच में नहीं रहे। मैं उनको अपनी श्रद्धांजलि देते हुए अपनी बात को रखना चाहूँगी, और मैं अपनी श्रद्धांजलि देना चाहूँगी आदरणीय हरभजन सिंह जी को। मैं कहूँगी हमारे बीच में गुरिंदर सिंह जी हैं, उनके छोटे बेटे दीपक जी हैं। मैं कहूँगी सिर्फ आप ही उनसे प्रभावित नहीं हुए, मेरे जैसा युवा भी उनके कामों से बहुत प्रभावित है। हम लोगों ने, आपने हमेशा ऐसे मंच को हम जैसे युवाओं के साथ भी शेयर किया है। आज मेरे लिए बहुत बड़ी बात है कि मंच पर उपस्थित हमारे आदरणीय सुशील कुमार शिंदे जी, जो केंद्रीय मंत्री हैं, महाराष्ट्र के मुख्यमंत्री भी रहे। मेरे लिए सम्मान की बात है कि मैं आपके साथ मंच को शेयर कर रही हूँ। मैं मंच पर उपस्थित आदरणीय भीष्म नारायण सिंह जी के साथ भी हमेशा गर्व और सम्मान महसूस करती हूँ कि आपका जो इतना बड़ा लंबा अनुभव है वो मुझे सुनने को मिलता है, और मैं उसे अपने जीवन में कोशिश करती हूँ कि आपके अनुभवों से मैं भी सीख सकूँ। मैं आदरणीय GVG कृष्णामूर्ति जी का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करती हूँ, जिनका आशीर्वाद मुझे हमेशा मिलता रहा है। मैं मंच पर उपस्थित आदरणीय नीतीश सेन गुप्ता जी का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करती हूँ। मैं आदरणीय गोहर नवाब जी का भी धन्यवाद करती हूँ। मेरे साथ ऑल इंडिया कांग्रेस कमेटी में सेक्रेटरीज आदरणीय मेजर वेद प्रकाश जी का और आदरणीय अंसारी जी का भी इस मंच पर तहे दिल से धन्यवाद और स्वागत करती हूँ। मैं माफ़ी चाहूँगी, मुझे बिल्कुल मालूम नहीं था कि मैं ये मंच यहाँ से शेयर करूँगी। मुझे लग रहा था कि मैं आपके बीच में रहूँगी और मैं सिर्फ सुनूँगी कि इन लोगों का जो अनुभव है ज़िंदगी भर का, क्या उम्मीदें हैं, वो सब चीज़ें। और उम्मीदें मुझे मालूम है, हम आज का युवा भारत आपके सामने खड़ा हुआ एक बात कर रहा है, और मैं कहती हूँ आज हमारे सामने 63 साल का युवा भारत खड़ा है। उम्र बेशक इस भारत की आज़ादी के बाद से आज 63 वर्ष की हो गई, लेकिन हकीकत है कि आज भी युवा है। वो युवा इसलिए है कि इस देश की 75% से ज़्यादा आबादी हम युवाओं की है, इसलिए हम 63 साल के इस भारत को युवा भारत कहते हैं। और मैं ये भी मानती हूँ कि NRIs को मैं कॉन्फ्रेंस तो अटेंड नहीं कर पाई किन्हीं कारणों से, लेकिन अमेरिका से लेकर चाइना से लेकर UK तक बहुत विदेशों में जाने का मौका मिला, बहुत से NRIs से बात करने का मौका मिला, और मुझे ये बहुत खुशी हुई जानकर कि ये हम महसूस करते हैं कि जब हम अपनी माँ से दूर होते हैं तब हमें अपनी माँ की ज़्यादा चिंता होने लगती है। हम और फिक्रमंद हो जाते हैं और पूछना शुरू कर देते हैं कि मेरी माँ कैसी है, क्योंकि हमें लगता है कि हमसे अच्छी संतान, हमसे ज़्यादा चिंता या फिक्र उस माँ की एक सच्चे सपूत के लिए मैं कहूँ नहीं होती। तो वही भावनाएं मैं एक NRIs में देखती हूँ। मेरा खुद एक फाउंडेशन है, गो इंडिया फाउंडेशन, और मैं हकीकत बताती हूँ कि ऑनलाइन जब रजिस्ट्रेशन देखते हैं तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो रजिस्ट्रेशन है वो NRI युवा भारतीयों का होता है। बिकॉज उनको ये महसूस होता है कि हम विदेश में ज़रूर हैं, लेकिन उनका कंट्रीब्यूट कि हम किस तरीके से एक योगदान कर सकते हैं। और मुझे लगता है कि वो युवा एनआरआईज का जो सोच है वो आप लोगों से आ रही है, जो बहुत सालों से वहाँ बसे हुए हैं, जो आज की एनआरआई युवा पीढ़ी में इस बात को भी कायम रखे हुए हैं कि नहीं, हम भारत से ज़रूर दूर हैं, हम अपनी माँ से ज़रूर दूर हैं, लेकिन हमारी जो जिम्मेदारियाँ अपनी माँ के लिए, अपने देश के लिए बनती हैं, उससे कतई भी हम मुंह नहीं मोड़ सकते। और मुझे खुशी है कि जिस तरह से मेजर वेद प्रकाश जी ने भी बताया कि एनआरआई भारतीय सम्मेलन का जब हम लोगों ने मिनिस्ट्री का गठन हुआ तो यही गंभीरता देखी कि बहुत से एनआरआईज ऐसे हैं जो इस देश में, अपने भारत में कंट्रीब्यूट करना चाहते हैं। उसी सोच के मद्देनजर रखते हुए एनआरआई जो है वो मिनिस्ट्री का गठन किया गया। और आज खुशी है कि वो मंत्रालय एक बहुत कामयाबी के साथ हर साल इस तरह का सम्मेलन आयोजित ही नहीं कर रहा, एनआरआई भारतीयों का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन, हम जिस उम्मीद से इस सम्मेलन को आयोजित करते हैं उसमें हम कामयाब भी हो रहे हैं। उसकी कामयाबी इससे साबित होती है कि आप बढ़ चढ़कर सिर्फ हिस्सा ही नहीं लेते, अपना कंसर्न भी जो है इस देश में दिखाते हैं कि नहीं, ये हमारा ही देश है। बिकॉज इस तरह से शरीर और आत्मा का हम लोग एक तुलना करते हैं, विश्रित इस देश से आपका शरीर दूर हो सकता है, शरीर हो सकता है, लेकिन आत्मा हमें मालूम है आपकी यही बस रही है। इसीलिए वो कहीं ना कहीं हमेशा ये महसूस करते हैं कि हमारा योगदान है। अभी जिस तरह से मैं स्पीचेस को सुन रही थी, जो भी बात है कि 48 जीवीजी कृष्णमूर्ति जी ने बताया कि 48% जो है अभी भी हमारे देश में जो रोड्स है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर का काम बाकी है। अभी बताया कि 65% ऐसे अभी हमारे क्षेत्र है जहाँ पर ड्रिंकिंग वाटर नहीं पहुँच पाया। अभी भी अच्छी बात भी है कि 2012 तक हमारा जो जीडीपी है, ग्रोथ रेट, वो चाइना से ऊपर होकर नंबर 1 पे पहुंच जाएगा। तो बहुत सी अच्छी और बुरी खबरें दोनों हैं, लेकिन मुझे मालूम है कि हम सब मिलकर पूरे आत्मविश्वास के साथ अपनी जिम्मेदारियों को समझेंगे तो हम अपना मुकाम जरूर हासिल करेंगे। और मैं कहूँगी जितनी उम्मीद हम भारतीयों से कर रहे हैं, उससे 2 गुना उम्मीद हम एनआरआई भारतीयों से भी कर रहे हैं। आप जितनी उम्मीद बाहर बैठ के भारत को देखते हैं, जिस तरह से अभी बताया कि दिल्ली के एक भारत की राजधानी जो है उसका जिस तरह से तस्वीर को बदला है, हम चाहते हैं कि ये जो विकास है भारत की राजधानी दिल्ली तक ही सीमित ना रह जाए, ये विकास पूरे देश भर के कोने तक पहुंचे। और वो तभी संभव है जब आप लोगों का सहयोग हर तरीके से हम लोगों को मिले। और एक और सबसे बड़ी बात कहना चाहूंगी कि हमारे देश में एजुकेशन की सबसे कमी महसूस की जा रही थी कि आज भी हमारे ऐसे बहुत से बच्चे हैं जो अपनी प्राइमरी एजुकेशन भी नहीं ले पा रहे। तो सरकार ने पहल करते हुए राइट ऑफ एजुकेशन एक बिल को लाकर उसे पास ही नहीं किया। आपको भी आमंत्रित किया है कि आप राइट ऑफ एजुकेशन के तहत जितना भी इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर एजुकेशन के फील्ड में आप लगा सकते हैं, उसमें आपकी मदद हमें चाहिए, इस देश को चाहिए, आपके देश को चाहिए, ताकि मुझे लगता है कि हर एक समस्या का समाधान एजुकेशन से जुड़ा हुआ है। अगर हमारी पीढ़ी एजुकेट हो जाएगी, हमारी सभी समस्याओं का हल जो है मुझे लगता है हम काफी हद तक कर पाएंगे। आप सभी को मैं तहे दिल से यहाँ पर स्वागत करती हूँ। हमारा जो यहाँ पर 30th इंटरनेशनल कांग्रेस ऑफ एनआरआईज में हार्दिक स्वागत करती हूँ, अपनी हार्दिक शुभकामनाएं आपको देती हूँ और एक बार फिर से इस मंच का तहे दिल से धन्यवाद करती हूँ जिन्होंने मुझे ये मौका दिया। मैं अपनी बात के बीच में रख। जय हिंद।
मैं माननीय अलका जी का हार्दिक धन्यवाद करती हूँ। Ladies and gentlemen, now is the time for the award presentation ceremony. We will be awarding just a few of the distinguished non-resident Indians. So I request you to kindly not block the passages, just leave the space for the respected members of the press and media. I request our respected members to also allow the audience to kindly see the award presentation ceremony, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a warm round of applause as I invite Mr. Sushil Kumar Shinde to kindly present today's awards, please. Our Honorable Union Power Minister. The Pravasi Gold Medal Award, ladies and gentlemen, goes to Pranab Chandra Lahiri from Germany. gentlemen, we present the Navratna Awards now. From United States of America, the awardee is Dr. Banki Agarwal. Dr. Banki Agarwal from United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, the Navratna Award will now be presented to Dr. Shushma Joshi from Canada. Ladies and gentlemen, the Navratna Award now goes to Chirantan, to Dr. Bhagwan Das Sayal from United States of America. United States of America receives the Navratna Award. The Navratna Award, ladies and gentlemen, will now be presented to Dr. Chirantan Ghosh from United States of America. Dr. Chirantan Ghosh receiving the Navratna Award. He's come from the United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, the Navratna Award now goes to Professor Devesh Bhattacharya from New Zealand. Devesh Bhattacharya from New Zealand receiving the award. The Navratna Award, ladies and gentlemen, will now be presented to Dr. B.N. Patel from United Kingdom. Dr. B.N. Patel from United Kingdom receives the Navratna Award. Ladies and gentlemen, the Navratna Award will now go to Ms. Renu Dhillon from Kenya. Her father will receive the award on her behalf.